In Memoria Adytum. SCP-5862. Faulkner's Wake. SCP-5862 is the collective designation given to a 17th-century frigate and its crew, which have been infected by a highly virulent contagion, designated SCP-5862-5. This contagion has been shown to affect all non-aquatic material. This effect manifests as the breakdown of all infected material at the cellular level. All known metallic alloys will undergo rapid oxidization and organic material will experience accelerated decomposition. Living organisms will present with symptoms of rapid onset necrotizing fasciitis as well as greatly accelerated cellular regeneration. This has the net effect of rendering all living individuals biologically immortal. The ship is a two-masted fifth-class frigate designated SCP-5862-A, and is largely composed of biological material, specifically including sails made from human skin, spars and planks from bleached bone, and with a figurehead of a rotting body. It is believed to have been commissioned to play a role in the Third Anglo-Dutch War, though records suggest it never formally entered service. Sir William Faulkner, designated SCP-5862-B, is the current captain of SCP-5862-A and has been since its commission at some point in the late 1670s. His body is in an advanced state of decay, with approximately 70% of his flesh showing signs of extensive decomposition. The majority of his active crew exhibit a similar level of decay. SCP-5862 is currently uncontained, and located approximately 400 kilometers south of Site-86. The Foundation corvette SCPS Kirk has been deployed to monitor it and carry out initial research into appropriate containment procedures. Turing's Wrath, also known as Turing's Wrath, a Church of the Broken God splinter organization, are to be kept under surveillance for potential SCP-5862 related activity. The Foundation first learned about SCP-5862 on April 13, 2012 from a report sent by an embedded agent in Turing's Wrath, a Church of the Broken God splinter organization designated Turing's Wrath. This organization originally came to the Foundation's attention after carrying out a series of successful raids on known and suspected Carcists, which resulted in 17 casualties. At this time, the agent became aware that Turing's Wrath was planning a large operation related to a sarkic artifact that could greatly aid in the effort against the flesh. After the agent discovered a large cache of anomalous weaponry in April 2012, MTF Stigma-9, evolved from naturally occurring gears, levers and pulleys, were deployed to apprehend the members of Turing's Wrath and confiscate their weapons cache. This operation was carried out successfully, and led to MTF Stigma-9 recovering the plans to carry out an assault on SCP-5862. These plans did not specify what Turing's Wrath intended to do with SCP-5862, but they did contain an approximate location of SCP-5862. Extensive interrogation of the captured Turing's Wrath members produced no significant intelligence relating to SCP-5862, and they were subsequently released into GOC custody in May 2012. From Dr. Cesar Iliescu, SCP-5862 Head Researcher. To Mariana Almeida, Director, Department of Nautical Anomalies. May 2012. It looks like the information we obtained from Turing's Wrath has paid off. Foundation Surveillance Satellite. Nemo's Watch successfully located SCP-5862 at Expunge location, a couple hundred kilometers south of the Marshall Islands. I deployed aboard the Kirk, with an initial plan to observe and make contact if deemed safe. We tailed her for 6 days, maintaining a distance of roughly 24 kilometers. Captain Nangolo wanted to keep us below the horizon, to prevent SCP-5862 becoming aware of us while we carried out covert surveillance using drones. The thing is ragged. It only took me one look to realize that this was certainly the ship we were looking for. I'm not sure how it has managed to stay afloat, but there it was. SCP-5862 does not appear to be at all seaworthy, and seeing how low it's sitting in the water, I would estimate that it is taking on a significant amount of water. The ship is, quite literally, falling apart. There are obvious signs of accelerated decay in the spars and gunwales, and what sailcloth remains is hanging by threads. There's also a lot of an unknown white material that we can't visually identify, which seems to represent ad hoc repair work done on the ship over time. On the seventh day, SCP-5862-A abruptly changed course and began to head straight for us. I directed Captain Nangolo to allow the distance to drop within visual range, which was established at 10:31 a.m. in May 2012. The attached log records the events which followed. May 28, 2012. SCP-5862-A has moved to within 3 kilometers of the Kirk, and is continuing to close the distance. 10:31. Captain Nangolo attempts to make radio contact with SCP-5862-A but receives no response. 10:34. Captain Nangolo makes second and third attempts at radio contact with SCP-5862-A. There is no response. 10:38. SCP-5862-A has reached a distance of approximately 2 kilometers from the Kirk, and appears to be changing course slightly to expose its port side to the Kirk. 10:40. SCP-5862-A fires a single warning shot at the Kirk, which lands approximately 100 m off the forward bow of the ship. Captain Nangolo enters a discussion with Dr. Iliescu to determine the best course of action. 10:41. A second warning shot is fired by SCP-5862-A, which lands approximately 50 m off the port side of the Kirk. It is estimated that the Kirk will be in range for a full broadside in the next 3 minutes. 10:42. The Kirk returns fire with a volley of 5 shots that land in a V pattern around the aft of the SCP-5862-A at a distance of approximately 5 m. 10:44. Captain Nangolo orders a crewman to begin signaling that the Kirk has no hostile intent via semaphore flags. 10:45. A third warning shot is fired by SCP-5862-A. It is unclear if SCP-5862-B has understood the previous message. 10:46. Upon seeing no reaction from the Kirk, SCP-5862-A fires a full broadside. Inconsequential damage is accrued to the Kirk's port side hull. 10:47. Captain Nangolo orders a white flag to be raised. End of log. SCP-5862-A moved to within 50 m of the Kirk, which I surmised was to allow Captain Faulkner to communicate with us. With the agreement of Captain Nangolo, we cleared the foredeck and I went alone to speak with the captain. The log of our conversation follows. This log was transcribed from surveillance footage taken from the Kirk after the conversation between Dr. Iliescu and SCP-5862-B concluded. Dr. Iliescu is seen standing on the foredeck at the port side railing and is communicating using a voice amplification module. SCP-5862-B's words were picked up by the surveillance device attached to the prow. SCP-5862-A appears to be made up of decaying timbers of various wood types, with significant areas of patching and repairs made up with what is obviously bone. Complete and partial skeletons can be seen at various points along the length of the vessel, adhered within the hull of SCP-5862-A with a substance that resembles tar, but with a pronounced reddish hue. Dr. Iliescu's, using the module, unknown vessel. This is Dr. Cesar Iliescu aboard the SCPS Kirk. We wish. He cuts off as a tall figure dressed in an elaborate assortment of belts and straps wound tightly about its torso and limbs steps out onto the deck. The figure bows slightly, then hesitates briefly before stepping up to the gunwale opposite Iliescu. What remains of SCP-5862-B's face is mostly leathery skin stretched taut over heavily pronounced cheekbones. Thin tendons and muscles stretch to hold its jaw in place and glisten slightly as they flex to allow SCP-5862-B to speak. Its voice comes out as a dry hiss, barely audible above the moaning of the ship. SCP-5862-B asked, Be ye the captain of this ship? Dr. Iliescu responded, No, but I am in charge here. Then why did ye not run like all the others? 'Twas for that purpose we fired upon ye, to warn ye off. SCP-5862-B questioned. We're interested in your vessel, and Dr. Iliescu began to explain. Be you one of those commissions bastards then? SCP-5862-B interrupted. Dr. Iliescu asked, Commissions? The Right Honorable Commission for Unusual Cargo. All, sailing round with their magic scepters and holier-than-damn attitudes that they claim is what keeps them safe and all that garbage. SCP-5862-B elaborated. No, I'm not personally familiar, Dr. Iliescu tried to clarify. Don't you be lying to me, boy. If and you're not, then you be like em. None else would sail so close and not be afeard. SCP-5862-B accused and gestured towards his crew. None of us would be here if it weren't for them and their promises to be keeping us safe. They be liars, one and all, SCP-5862-B continued, moving as if to spit over the railing, but no fluid was observed to leave his mouth. Dr. Iliescu tried to redirect the conversation, so about you. You'd be thinking that we want to be sailing round on a cursed ship, harvesting each other for parts when she can't go on longer. SCP-5862-B interrupted again. Are you him? Dr. Iliescu started to ask. Have you ever been kept awake at night by the tortured groans of your ship beneath you? The curses of the crew we was forced to replace the keel with. The screams of those we used to replace the walls when something gets hungry out in the sea and decides to come in for a nibble. SCP-5862-B continued to rant. That sounds odd, Dr. Iliescu tried to acknowledge. Have ye ever had to flay what skin your mate had left so's ye can repair your very sails? Have ye ever felt an itch in your bones that ye can't scratch for days at a time and it just keeps getting worse and nothing ye do be bringing even a moment of relief until ye wish ye were dead and then it be years and years later and you're still in agony, and ye can't even die? SCP-5862-B continued to describe. I'm so sore. Dr. Iliescu tried to apologize. Leave this place. Leave me be. Before we be spreading it to ya, SCP-5862-B warned before ending the conversation. We dropped back to follow SCP-5862 at a distance of about 1 kilometer. We will continue to observe until more suitable containment procedures are devised. Until then, we've been collecting samples from the various bits of detritus that SCP-5862-A leaves in its wake. I will have the samples analyzed at Site-86. Maybe they will be able to better tell us about the SCP-5862-5 contagion. I'll put together some further documentation that might shed some light on its history. End of log. On May 31, 2012, MTF Stigma 9 forwarded a tip that a different Turing's Wrath cell was beginning preparations to make a second attempt at capturing SCP-5862. Dr. Iliescu and the Kirk were immediately notified to go to Condition Yellow and to be on the alert for potential hostiles. The SCP's warship Comlef was diverted to the location, but due to the extreme isolation of the location, it was not expected to arrive in time to affect the outcome of any potential engagement. The following transcript was uploaded from the Kirk within 20 minutes of Drive Iliescu being alerted to the developing situation. The Kirk has closed to within 50 m of SCP-5862-A to allow Dr. Iliescu to attempt contact with SCP-5862-B. Dr. Iliescu addressed Captain Faulkner. Captain Faulkner. We need to speak. There was silence for 10 seconds before Drive Iliescu continued. It's concerning the Church of the Broken God. After another 18 seconds of silence, Dr. Iliescu became frustrated and exclaimed, Damn it, man. It's about the followers of Mekane. SCP-5862-B responded, With all due respect, why the hell should I care about the machine heretics? That is an old hate. Visibly surprised, Dr. Iliescu asked, You know about them? though 'twasn't a knowledge I started on this voyage with. We sail upon the sea eternal. You would be naive indeed to think we have not encountered other things the Commission would have the world forget, SCP-5862-B replied. Dr. Iliescu explained, they're interested in the pathogen you're infected with. We believe they want to infect Sarkics with it. They're welcome to come and get it, and it'll rot them too, SCP-5862-B responded. Dr. Iliescu asked, and you're not concerned about them unleashing the pathogen? SCP-5862-B chuckled quietly to itself and stated, wouldn't be the first time. There is a reason we are out here so far. Dr. Iliescu questioned, that's kept you out of the world's attention for 400 years. Lurking quietly in the oceans, plundering only what's necessary, and keeping out of everyone's way. Hiding from the Mechanites. SCP-5862-B muttered something inaudible. Dr. Iliescu asked, excuse me. The time is not yet right, SCP-5862-B replied after a brief pause. Prepare yourself, foolish man. I tried twice to warn ye to leave us. First by firing upon your ship, then with my pantomime of dread portents. Ye refused to be dissuaded, and now ye are to bear witness. SCP-5862-B turned away from the gunwale and began walking back towards its cabin, stating, be off with ye, I've preparations to complete. End of log. Once again, SCP-5862-B cut off communication and refused to respond to Dr. Iliescu. The crew aboard SCP-5862-A can be seen preparing the ship for battle, though SCP-5862-A has retreated into its cabin. 2 days later, another video was uploaded from the Kirk. This footage was spliced together from edited CCTV and drone footage following an encounter with Turing's Wrath. At the start of the footage, 4 unidentified vessels had been detected on the Kirk's radar system, incoming at a speed of 28 knots, with an expected arrival time of 20 minutes. 7:41, the oscillating light of the general quarters alarm can be seen to the side of the frame. Captain Nangolo is standing behind the helmsman looking through a pair of binoculars out to sea. 7:52, the deck guns of the Kirk fire several warning shots at the oncoming vessels, with no observable response. 7:53, hostile missile launch detected. Unidentified vessels are reclassified as enemy combatants. The Kirk point defense system automatically engages, destroying all 4 of the incoming missiles. 7:55, Captain Nangolo gives the order to return fire, and the view vibrates as 4 medium-range missiles launch from the Kirk. 7:58, the enemy ships evade and destroy the missiles from the Kirk and launch another wave of missiles, each vessel contributing 2 missiles to the wave. These missiles behave in a manner inconsistent with the previous projectiles, weaving erratically before plunging into the water and proceeding on an attack vector more appropriate to torpedoes. 8:01, multiple impact alerts are signaled on the bridge of the Kirk, and the ship rapidly assumes a 2 degrees sustained angle of list to port. 8:04, all power aboard the Kirk abruptly ceases. Video feed shifts to one of the overhead drones. The oncoming attackers break off their approach to the Kirk and change course to intercept SCP-5862-A. 8:10, the assaulting vessels can be seen corralling SCP-5862-A, but do not appear to be firing upon the ship. Several figures can be seen on the decks of the boats, pointing what are assumed to be weapons at SCP-5862-A. 8:12, SCP-5862-A opens fire upon the assault craft, plumes of smoke issuing from the port, then the starboard side as both ranks of cannon fire. The shot appears to have no effect on the unknown vessels. 8:19, the vessels reach SCP-5862-A and deploy grappling hooks. Figures can be seen scaling the hull of SCP-5862-A where they encounter the crew standing in ranks on the main deck. SCP-5862-B exits its cabin along with another figure 3. 8:20, The invading force immediately opens fire upon SCP-5862-1. Multiple projectiles can be seen impacting its body, each tearing several visible holes that reseal themselves almost immediately. SCP-5862-1 stumbles briefly, then reaches towards the attackers. 821. Fluid erupts from the attackers and each of them fall to the deck where they appear to writhe and twist. Additional fluid can be seen pooling around them before being absorbed into the wood of the deck. 823. SCP-5862-1 walks to the gunwale then dives cleanly into the water. Moments later, several large tentacles lift free of the water surrounding the 4 attacking vessels. They attempt to evade, but are ensnared and dragged underwater. 830. SCP-5862-1 can be seen climbing aboard the Kirk, where it is greeted by Dr. Iliescu and several members of the Kirk's security detail. They speak for several minutes, with Dr. Iliescu gesticulating with apparent anger. 841. Dr. Iliescu turns to walk away, and SCP-5862-1 looks up at the drone circling overhead. It makes a flicking gesture at it, and a moment later the video feed dies. End of log. In June 2012, an ornate metal tube was found outside the security gate to Site-86 containing the following handwritten note. Gentlemen, I have reclaimed what I misplaced so long ago, worrying no longer about the faithful Voyager and the intrepid Captain Faulkner. Their vigil has ended. I must also regretfully inform you that I have commandeered the Kirk. She is a beautiful ship, and you should be proud of her service. I hope that the knowledge that she will continue to serve under a new master will provide some small measure of recompense for her loss. Until the time comes that I reclaim my daughter, I bid you adieu. Lucien Dutoit.